Back to the news. Traffic accident. Run. A Beaver County man being held for murder is more later.
What's going on, y'all? You're tuning in to the highest rated, most listened to podcast to ever grace the airwaves, and you're a better person for listening to us. All right, maybe not, but you're really going to enjoy it anyways. This is Made to Motivate Podcast, and we'll be talking social media hot topics, pop culture news, the greatest in movies and music, and all things sports. Make sure you're following us on social media at Made to Motivate Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and you can watch the show on our YouTube. Thanks for tuning in, and with that being said, let's get this show started. What is going on, y'all? This is Made to Motivate Podcast, and I'm your host, Ryan Weiss. Got something different for you today for the YouTube channel. I can't count how many times I've been asked, how do you do your podcast? You know, what equipment do you use? What software do you use? What's the process of getting set up for recording? What's kind of the day in the life of setting up the studio to record an episode each week. So what I thought I would do for you guys is just a walkthrough. I've got a couple different camera angles here set up for you. Screen recording. I've got obviously a point of view for you, and then also you can see here some of the equipment that I use, so I can do a walkthrough for you of what it takes to get set up. So I'll walk through kind of the step-by-step process, and then also kind of a rundown of the different equipment that I use, and then just kind of do a full walkthrough of how everything works. So for starters, what we're going to do is go over to my screen recording here. So what you're going to see here is this is Adobe Audition. This is what I use primarily for my audio recording. So I have two sources being captured at one time. I've got an audio file being recorded, and then I have a video and audio file being recorded. What I'll do to start out is just show you what you're going to do to get set up with audio recording if you're going to use Adobe Audition. If you're not using Adobe Audition, probably a similar process. But unfortunately, I can't walk you through a step-by-step. This is what I use for my recording. So what we would do in this case is you're going to open up Adobe Audition. You're going to do File. You're going to do New, and you're going to select Multi-Track Session. At that point, you'll be able to go ahead and create a file name and the folder you want to place that file in upon completion. Very important is upon setting up, you want to make sure you go to Adobe Audition, Preferences, and Audio Hardware. This is where you're going to select your input device. I use the Rodecaster for my soundboard. So on here, I've got Rodecaster Pro selected for my default input device, and then also Rodecaster Stereo for my output. For your input, make sure you're selecting multi-channel if you're going to be recording from multiple sources, multiple microphones, etc. Once you've got those options selected, then you can go ahead and you'll be back to your input devices. So each one of these is an audio channel, and you can assign something to it. So in this case, we're going to be recording on my microphone. I am not recording an audio file. I'm just doing video for YouTube. But if I was, I would go here to the source, click mono, and then go ahead and click Rodecaster Pro mic number 1. That's my specific microphone. If I had, my co-host in here with me today, I would select microphone 2, microphone 3, microphone 4, etc. You can also go ahead and do your soundboards. So you can go to mono and go down to sounds. That will turn on your soundboard your options here to play your remixes or any kind of sound bites and stuff you have for your show. And then if you're going to do any sort of Bluetooth, you can set up Bluetooth where you can take phone calls and it'll play directly in and I'll record it. If you're going to play music from your phone or Bluetooth device, you can go ahead and turn on Bluetooth. Really important part of this, make sure that you are turning on record, that you're recording to each individual audio source. That's by turning this R for record on each individual input source that you plan to be recording from that you've selected. Because if you just select these and you go ahead and hit record down here at the bottom, as you'll see here at the top, line 1 is my microphone. You can see I'm recording currently. But if I didn't have record marked, it would still show up like this, but it wouldn't actually capture any of this audio into the saved file. Very important. Make sure you hit record. I can go ahead and play a soundbite for you here. And you can see on that very bottom line, I turned the volume down, but you'll see here at the very bottom that we are recording, a sound from the soundboard because that was selected here on the left. So these are going to be all of your audio files that are going into there. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording. And then after the fact, you'd be able to go ahead and save this file and then do any kind of editing if you need to cut any sections out, if you want to adjust your audio levels, whatever. So you save your file. At the end of recording, when you're ready to export it, you're going to go to File, you're going to go to Export, and you're going to do Multi-Track Entire Session. This will export this audio file so then you can upload it to your podcast's hosting site. And then you've got your audio file completed. Now for video is a separate item here. So this screen that you're seeing is actually my video feed from Zoom. Now, I only use Zoom for my video capture software simply so I can see what's going on at any given time. I like to utilize Zoom because not only does it let me view the audio that's going on currently, audio and video files that's currently going on in studio, but we do have a lot of guests. And sometimes with those guests, they're not able to be local with us, so they will utilize Zoom. So by already implementing Zoom into my setup and my workflow for our podcast, if I ever do need to bring a guest in, I've already got Zoom implemented into the way that I set up our podcast. I can capture them in as a separate video source as well. So you're going to go ahead and basically you would just do start a meeting, and very important, you're going to go down to your video source and you're going to make sure that that is, if you're utilizing a mixer like I am, I'm using the Blackmagic ATM Mini, you're going to make sure that that video source is being captured. If you're using something else like an OBX or something, it would be separate on that software where you're going to click where your video source is coming in from. So again, I use the Blackmagic ATM Mini. That's where all my video feeds are going, so I can switch between my camera sources like I've been doing with you guys today. Right now it's on me. Here's our setup of the Blackmagic is here, the Rode is here. So you're going to select where your video source is coming in from. And then for your audio, same thing. I've got it selected here to Rodecaster because that's where I'm collecting our audio from. So very important, make sure you select the appropriate items there. And then also here at the very bottom, I'm not going to click this because it's going to screw up our video if I do. This is recording. You want to make sure up here at the top it says recording. If you do not do this and you're utilizing Zoom as your video capture device, you will have no video file. You'll be looking at yourself on your screen thinking that you're creating a video, and at the end when you hit end meeting, it will be gone. It will not export that video and audio to a file that you can then edit in post-production. Make sure you select recording. You can choose when you click recording, you can say record to this computer. You can do record to the cloud, depending on the Zoom account that you have. You will need to set up a Zoom account for your hosting. I think I pay $14.99 a month or something. It's just part of the expense of doing a podcast. There are other options. This is just the way that I do it. I'm sure there's something else that you could do for yourself. This works great for me. It's an easy workflow. It allows me to capture all the different things that I want and put together the show that if you've watched, you see how our YouTube videos are set up. So this is now when I'm recording the show, this is the screens that I see. So I will see my audio on one side of my computer. I see the video on the other side of the computer. So that way, when I'm switching between my sources, I can see exactly what's going on. When I choose, I want to go to, this screen, I can see it on my laptop. When I want to go to myself, I can see it. I know exactly what I'm looking at and where my video signal is looking at any given moment. I can see my audio, so I can see, is the volumes okay for each microphone? Did something stop working? I can adjust everything accordingly. So that's your basic start to finish. When you're done with your Zoom, you would hit end. it'll say it's exporting the audio or the video file. Save it to the folder of your choice. Once you've saved that video file, you can then go ahead and edit it, within your software. And I can show you that here in a moment as well, what I utilize for our editing of our videos. So before we get to that, let's just look at a little bit of the equipment in itself. So I'm going to go ahead and flip over to this camera here. So bottom half of my board here, this is the Blackmagic ATM Mini, as I mentioned a couple different times. Works out great for me because it's got 4 outputs for video and the Rode's got 4 outputs for audio. That's what we utilize. We've got 4 microphones. It's me, 2 co-hosts, and then we have guests that come on. So 4 setups. Along the bottom here is going to be each of your different video signals. So I can switch between them. That's what I've been doing as you guys have been watching. When I click 4, I'm going to my laptop. When I go to 2, it's coming to me. 1 is this angle. I don't need a third one for this specific video, but I do have a camera I can connect to the third setup there. So that's where I'm going to be utilizing. You can also do cuts. You can do where it fades, your screens fade in between each video source as you click between them. I don't do any of that. I do everything in post-production, so it's not necessary. This board has a lot of functionality that I don't necessarily need for our show, but it has the functionality I do need to take in my audio and my video signals and create the videos that I like to create. And this was the best setup that I could find for that. Now, the other one is the Rodecaster Pro. This is the first version. They did recently release a second version. This has everything I could possibly need. The second one has functionalities that just for my setup aren't necessary, but that's the one they're putting out now. It's decent price. It's $699. Honestly, that's a steal for what all comes within the soundboards. On here, I've got my 4 audio sources. So all my microphones, my individual sounds that I can adjust for each microphone. So volume levels can go up for each of them. I can adjust everything on a whim as necessary. Top here is going to be our headphones. So each of our own headphones. So we know exactly, everyone likes their own different volume types or likes it louder or less loud in their ears when they're hearing what's going on in the recording. So I can adjust that for each person individually at the top. And then there's also a master volume as well. Here's going to be if I have something connected via USB that I'm going to want to record audio from. This is going to be if I connect a cell phone directly to the board and I want to record audio from that. This is your Bluetooth. So whatever you have set up on Bluetooth, you can turn down and up your volume. So if you have something connected, but you're not utilizing it at that moment and you don't want to accidentally have, incoming text messages or something or pings on your phone recording in, you keep this down until you're ready to use it. Or you can even, just turn it off at the top there. I'm not going to turn it off, but that's what that blue highlight at the top is. These are your soundboards or your quick access buttons. At the top here on that screen, it's hard to see in the video that you're looking at, but it's labeled. You can label these with a name. There's more than one page. There's 3 pages of 8. So you've got a total of 24 that you can assign these. I've got them set up for our different segments for the show. There's also just entered sounds that you can utilize. We don't do a lot of like gimmicky sound type stuff. It's just going to be our intro, it's our outro, and it's our different segments. So I can quickly switch to each different menu as I need to see what I want. Page 2 is all of the segments for the show. Page 1 is going to be our intro, our outro, and some of those other sound effects built in. Within this board, you're going to obviously need to be running all of your sources. So I've got all 4 of my mics running into here. All 4 of the headphones run into the back of the Rodecaster, and then my output source. So directly from the Rodecaster Pro is a USB cable into my MacBook, capturing my audio feed. And then for the Blackmagic, what I utilize is my audio setup is I use iPhones. So I just happen to have on hand extra iPhones that I have just collected over the years. iPhone's got a great camera source. They shoot, most of the ones I have are shooting 4K. So what I do is on my Blackmagic, I've got HDMI cables that run from here. So for each one of these 4 sources, there's an HDMI cable that comes out. From that HDMI cable, it is connected to a Lightning to HDMI adapter, which is then connected to my phone. So on the back of that phone, I'm going to pull this one camera so I can show you. So if you look up here, let me go ahead and switch over for you. If you look up here, this phone is capturing me currently. Connected to it there, you'll see a dongle that is a Lightning to HDMI, and then that connects right to the ATM. What I'm utilizing on the actual phone itself is Filmic Pro. Filmic Pro allows you to have a clean HDMI out. So that way, those phones are giving you this clean video feed with none of the actual camera sourcing or anything on it. So you're able to have a clean video feed like you're seeing now coming out from a secondary iPhone where it looks like just a video camera. That's what works for me. I didn't need to or want to buy webcam type cameras to have my video sourcing. I already had iPhones on hand. I have 3 of them, one for myself, one for each of my co-hosts. And then if I have to utilize, if I have a guest, I have my own personal iPhone that I use all the time as my regular phone that I can utilize, or I have Filmic Pro downloaded on my iPad and I can use that as a 4th video source. So I'm utilizing iPhones for the video source, Filmic Pro as the app to give me the clean HDMI out for my video source. And those are running from a iPhone Lightning to HDMI dongle, or on the iPad. I have one for the iPad specifically as well. That's a USB-C to HDMI so that I can run those all into my ATM Mini video board. So out of the back of the ATM is going to go my HDMI cords and then a USB-C to USB-C cable that is going to connect directly to my laptop as the input device. So that way I'm running that source to my computer that I can then select from Zoom as my video file. So when I'm selecting my video, I'm choosing the ATM, or it says Blackmagic. And when I'm selecting my audio, I'm selecting Rodecaster because that file is coming directly from the Rode. So that's the equipment that I use. Outside of that, let's see. So we've got the Rodecaster Pro for audio, the Blackmagic ATM Mini for video. Obviously, the respective cords you need for all of your devices. So you're going to need a XLR mic cord, depending on the mic you use. I use these are the Podcasters, Rodecaster Pros. Rodecaster Pro or Podcaster. I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank right now, and I don't know if it says it on them. Procaster. It says it here at the bottom. So these are the Rode Procaster mics. They use an XLR microphone cord. So you're going to need a microphone cord for each mic. You'll need a video cord for each of your camera sources, depending on what type of camera you're utilizing. Your camera cord might vary. In my situation, they're HDMIs. And then the necessary software to record into. So again, I use Adobe Audition for my audio. I utilize Zoom for my video sourcing so I can see everything that's going on. On my phones, I'm using Filmic Pro. That's going to give me a clean HDMI out. Clean HDMI is very important. Clean HDMI is very important. Otherwise, what you're going to see on that phone, because I could technically just go into the camera on the phone and I could have that as a video source. But what you would end up seeing is like the record button and the square and all of those settings that you see in the camera. So you need to use an external software to give you a clean video feed. So when you're looking at this, it's simply the video and you're not seeing all of the settings from the iPhone within that screen. So I'm utilizing those. I've got a ring light for each guest setup. Let me go over to this other camera really quick and I'll show you guys that. So you'll see here, that's a guest chair there. That's where Chris the Film Freak Kessinger sits. He's got his own ring light and phone stand there. So he has a video feed. On the other side over here is where Dan, the Shoe Guy Sandman sits. Again, you can see his camera is still hooked up there because I didn't need to utilize it. His own ring light. And then I have my own, ring light that you see there in my own camera. Over here on the side is the fourth mic setup, and that's where a guest would utilize. And I would set up, my iPad is there. I could utilize that, or I have another phone that I could utilize as well. So that is all of the sourcing. Outside of that, as far as the actual studio goes, I've built this podcast table. I built this from scratch myself. I wanted to have something where I could have all of my equipment built into one place and be able to take it somewhere if I wanted to. So technically, this table, it just sits on top of another table, but this actual table itself is portable. All of my sound equipment, all of my cables and everything are run inside of this. And then on each side, you'll see there coming out of the sides all the cables. Everything is run interior. So that way, if I ever wanted to take this with me to do a guest show somewhere, all I would have to do is unplug the power strip that's along the back side, and I could take this with us. I built LED lighting underneath of it. It's connected to the actual table underneath here. So that would come with us as well. So that's the basic setup. We've got our guest setups, our video and lighting. Everyone's got their own camera, own video, own, headphone setup. And everything is good to go for individual recording. So that's the workflow of myself. That's what works great for our studio. I can also show you guys video editing quickly. So I can kind of show you what we utilize for our sourcing, how I do all of our video editing. Again, like Adobe Audition, I use Adobe Premiere Pro. Let me go in here and I'll open up Premiere Pro. I'll open up a recent video I just did, and I can show you a video that I just recorded just so you can kind of see. So let's do, here's Made to Motivate interview and the video file. I'll go ahead and show you this. All right. So what you'll see here is this is Premiere Pro. This is the episode this is the video I just put up yesterday. That was the interview of, kind of what I'm going over today. What does it take to get a podcast set up? What is that process? What is all the work that goes into that? All that sort of thing. So what I do is well, you know what? Let's actually just do a new one. Let me just do a new project. Okay. So Premiere Pro, open up Premiere Pro, new project, name it what you want. And I'm just going to leave it on untitled and then create. All right. So then what you would do is pull all your files. So I have a file folder on my laptop that's called podcast. This has all of my different files and our labels, our logo, everything like that's included in here. You would pull your video file from whatever you just recorded. So you pull your video file into your workboard, and then anything additional that you would need to utilize for your graphics or logos, anything like that. So here's Made to Motivate interview. This is from yesterday. This folder here has my video file that I recorded. That's this video here. I can go ahead and pull that into Premiere Pro. And then I'll go ahead and drag that into my sourcing. Let's delete everything out from yesterday. Drag it in here. And now I've got my video file. Then I would also want to drag into here all of our logo information. So I would pull from here, go to my podcast folder. And in here is like all of our different segments. So our home banner, bring my home banner in, plug it in place. So there's our banner there. And then obviously I have to position everything where it goes. So I would scale it down, and I have everything memorized as far as the sizes they go. So I know my banners need to be at 48% to fit accordingly. And then I can go ahead and drag them to their respective place. Okay, so there's the banner where it needs to go. And then I also adjust video. I put my video at 72%. And then I need to move it into the side. And then at my vertical, it's going to be at 360. So drag your video source in, drag in any kind of logos or banners. For us, we each have our own little like name tags that I put into place. So I'll go into my folder and go to Ryan, drag my name tag in that I made. These are PNG files so that there's no background. I'll go ahead and reposition this to where reposition and scale it. It goes in the top left corner. So I'll drop in my name. One thing you will notice, now this is also very important, depending, you'll probably have it even if you use something like an OBX, but one of the things you're going to notice is there's a little bit of a lag. There's a little bit of a lag between your video and your audio. At least I've noticed it, and it's by like 0.08 seconds. So if I go over to the screen recording again and show you, if I played this, the video and audio is going to be off. What I have to do is I zoom in on the file really far, so that way I can get a very precise reading. So I zoom in as far as I can, lock the video, and then I drag this audio over until I get to 0.8, almost 0.9. And then now that's going to make sure my audio and my video align to each other. Because otherwise, they're going to be off. My lips will be moving. It'll look like you're watching a foreign film. Your mouth will be moving, but the video will be delayed. So you have to adjust that. And you'll have to play with it. It's from the sourcing. It's a common thing. You're going to see a little bit of a delay there. So just make sure you play with that and you adjust your volumes and everything accordingly. Once you've edited your files, added all of your graphics or clips or anything in like that you need to do, obviously save your file. You're going to go to export. You do export media. And you're going to go ahead and select the file type, file size, everything that you want. I usually just do 1080, HD 1080 for YouTube. And for what we do, honestly, it's more than enough. And then, export to your media encoder and, save your file. It will convert it to a video file for you and you're all set. So that's how I do all my editing in Premiere Pro. Audio is Adobe Audition. Got a main walkthrough of all of the equipment that I use. Obviously, any questions you have, let me know. I know this isn't as in-depth as I'm sure some people might want it, but it kind of gives you an idea of where we're at. And then obviously leave a comment or message me with anything that as you're kind of going through it that you have questions on. Please like, share, subscribe, share this video with anybody that might be helpful. If you've got questions about any of the equipment, the Rode or the ATEM Mini, microphones, camera sourcing, anything like that, if there's anything I can help you with, please let me know. I'll try and put together a list of all the different equipment I use in the video description, so you can kind of see a list of everything that I utilize. But I hope this video is helpful. Thanks for tuning into the actual podcast. We appreciate it. We're about to wrap up our third year and start going into year 4. We just hit 125 episodes. Really enjoy doing the show. The video portion is honestly my favorite aspect of it. So I really appreciate you guys that watch. And as usual, just thanks for tuning in. Any questions or anything you might have, you just let me know. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. That is Made to Motivate podcast. Make sure you tune into the show every week. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell on YouTube so you know when the new videos launch. And check out our pages individually if you can. We appreciate the support. At Jesse Yonk SI on Twitter. Chris the Film Freak Kessinger. Check out the Film Freak Review page on Facebook. And I am Ryan Weiss. You can check out rockeverywhereinc.etsy.com to follow my art and apparel page. We appreciate the support. And of course, at Made to Motivate podcast on all social media sites. Thanks again, and we'll check you next week.